seated. Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
Burrell. Screen in the middle. Typing.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. If the lawyers would place their appearances on the record.
Alan Mizrahi, Christina Stifler, and Steve Siegel on behalf of the state.
Thanks.
James Hill, Jesse Dreiser, Ginny Nepstead, and Shannon Day on behalf of Mario Fernandez to my immediate left.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anything that we need to take up?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, ready to bring in the jury?
It's ready.
Mr. Holman. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone. Everyone may be seated. Good afternoon, members of the jury. We hope that you enjoyed your lunch. We are continuing on with the state's case. Mr. Mizrahi.
Please, the court. State calls Brett Burrell. Brett Burrell, Detective Brett Burrell.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Detective. You could walk all the way forward, please. Please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Detective, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, this way. Watch your step, please.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
May it please the court. Detective, please introduce yourself to the jury.
Hello, my name is Brett Burrell. I'm a detective with the Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
How long have you been with Jacksonville Beach?
22 years.
What have you done with the department during the course of your career?
I'm sorry, one more time, please.
What have you done for the department during the course of your career?
I started off in uniform patrol, and then I went through, back into detectives, and I've been there for probably 10 or so years, 12 years.
The jury heard a little bit about how Jacksonville Beach Police Department works. Could you explain to the jury what detectives do for the Jacksonville Beach Police Department?
Sure, we're a smaller agency. So unlike a lot of your other larger agencies or a sheriff's office, they have units that specialize, in given crimes. So whether it be an auto burglary or a property crime, sex crimes, economics crimes, or homicides, we kind of get tasked in the unit that I'm in general investigations. So we get tasked with investigating all of those, and in a given week, we could have any of those or all those kind of cases on our desk.
Were you so employed as a detective in general investigations back in February of 2022?
I was not. I was actually a detective with our street crimes unit, where I'd spend most of my time.
So what were you doing in the street crimes unit?
Primarily, it's vice, narcotics, guns, drug gangs, things like that.
Did the Jared Bridegan homicide bring all hands on decks to investigate this?
Again, we're a smaller agency, so what has a tendency is when something major like this happens, it's an all hands on deck. Everybody gets called to help in some manner.
You were not the lead detective on this case?
No, sir, I was not.
That's going to be Detective Chris Johns?
Yes, sir.
Did you help Detective Johns in the investigation of this case?
Once I got called to the crime scene, that was by the Detective Sergeant Young. Was called to the crime scene at 8. He called me at 9:40 at night. I get there quarter after 10, and was kind of immediately tasked with going and starting to do kind of like a neighborhood canvass in that area to see if anybody heard or saw anything.
And the jury's already seen a lot about the crime scene, so we don't need to go much into that. Did you perform the duty of notifying Shanna Gardner of Jerry Bridegan's homicide?
Later that evening, 12:39 or so, we had gone back to the police department, had a brief discussion, and then at 12:39, Detective Lamont, who was second in this investigation, we drove over to the Gardner's residence, and we made the notification there, or Detective Lamont made the notification.
So you were just there, Lamont actually did the talking?
Yes, sir.
So approximately what time was this?
So again, we got to the house at 12:39, and then we were there until about 1 o'clock in the morning.
So after that, was there anything of investigatory note during the notification?
No, not really.
Did you respond later that day in the daytime?
Later that morning, when we had returned to the police department, we were kind of, again, what are our tasks, what things need to be done. So we were starting to do neighborhood canvassing of the sort again, and it was asked to go back over there and take the look to see if there was, I made contact with Mrs. Garner to see if there was anything that she knew or she had anything with video-wise that we could capture.
Approximately how far, and I think the jury will see or has seen a map to show that Marsh Inlet Court is about 2 miles or so north from where the homicide took place?
Yes, sir.
I'm showing you what's been entered to evidence as Stakes Exhibit 205. Is this a fair and accurate depiction of Marsh Inlet Court, the house you respond to? I guess I should give this particular address. I had it written down. Anyway, is this the Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez?
Publishing.
I got it.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to get the address. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir, that's the house.
I guess it's on the Google picture here. 1511 Marsh Inlet Court. Okay. So when you responded in the daytime, were you interested in what we can see at Stakes Exhibit 205, which is this little ring camera?
Yes, sir.
And did you view the ring camera footage as provided to you by Miss Gardner?
I did.
And was there anything noted during the pertinent time of the dropping off of the children at 7:40-ish until the homicide?
No, sir.
Nothing was recorded?
I didn't remember seeing anything of noteworthy, no.
So after, did you end up doing investigation with regard to Mario Fernandez's rental properties?
I think it was on the 23rd of February. This was a few days after the homicide, just as a cursory. We knew we were starting to look for a blue truck, and we just went over to, Detective Connor and I went over to 5239 Potomac Avenue just to see if we saw a blue truck over in the driveway or in the vicinity.
Did you get out and interview anyone at that address back in February of 2022?
No, sir.
So it was just kind of a drive-by?
Absolutely.
Did you see any blue trucks or anything of evidentiary value?
No, sir.
Fast forward to July of 2022, did you respond back to that address?
July 18th, we went back, and we were going to go and speak with Mr. Ordway, but we'll end up going to 5239. Yes, sir.
And that's 5239 Potomac Avenue?
Yes, sir.
And I think the jury knows this, but the Potomac Avenue address is in the northwest quadrant of Jacksonville?
As I recall, it's something like 20 miles probably to the northwest of where we're at.
So it's a good distance from Jacksonville Beach,
Yes, sir.
cross town, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
So when you responded to the residence, was Mr. Ordway present?
He was.
Was Mr. Ordway a tenant at that address?
He was.
Did an additional person show up at that address?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Henry Tenen.
Did you determine that whether or not Mr. Tenen was living there at the time?
It was my understanding that Mr. Tenen was not living there at the time.
Was there anything of evidentiary note that you noticed outside of that residence?
There was a it was a Bridgestone. Sorry, I had to think about that. It was a Bridgestone truck tire that was found by the garage.
Explain to the jury why, seeing a tire leaning up against the garage, why did you take note of that?
It's actually kind of a story. So as Mr. Tenen had pulled into the driveway, Mr. Detective Lamont was talking to Mr. Ordway, and I was just basically there as basically an assistant, or what we call 35, just assisting another officer, just kind of watching the area. And Mr. Tenen backs up his Crown Victoria into the parking lot, or not the parking garage, but the driveway. And as he gets out, he opens up the trunk and he takes out a metal dog bowl and he sets it down and he starts filling it up. And I'm watching what he's doing because that's just trying to make sure that we're all safe. I don't know Mr. Tenen or anybody there. And
I didn't hear what he was doing.
he was filling up a dog bowl.
Dog bowl, okay.
And as he's filling up the dog bowl, I happened to see a tire, and that seemed odd because I don't know. It seemed like maybe I'd seen that tire before. I really didn't know what I had at that point. I started talking with Mr. Tenen because I knew that was ultimately we were going to want to talk to him as well, just because he was on the property. And as Detective Lamont finished his conversation with Mr. Ordway and began talking to Mr. Tenen, I asked Mr. Ordway about the tire, and he said I asked Mr. Ordway about the tire.
So you don't have to tell us what Mr. Ordway said, but was Mr. Ordway agreeable for you disposing of the tire?
He was.
And were you, I guess, could you have seized the tire from another way, or did they have to give you permission?
It's on private property, so he would have had him given me permission.
Which he did do.
He did.
And that was Mr. Ordway that gave you that permission.
It was.
So what made you think that you should take that tire?
The explanation was that the tire was found by the side of the road, and that had been found back up by the garage. A tire by the side of the road doesn't really mean anything, but suddenly now it's back up by the side of the house, which was reportedly going to be thrown away, and oddly enough, it looked like maybe the tire that was kind of at our scene. So I just hedged my bets. I wasn't sure really what we had, but it seemed interesting enough at the time, and I asked him if if I could take the tire and throw it away or dispose of it for him.
Did anyone claim ownership of that tire?
No.
I'm showing you it's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 97. Does this photograph fairly and accurately depict where that tire was that you saw when you went and interviewed Mr. Ordway?
It does. I took the photo.
With your phone?
Yes, sir.
Pretty cool. I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 100. And if you need to stand up to see the tire, you may he, Your Honor.
Do you want him over there?
I don't think he needs to be over here as long as he can see it from there. It may be easier for him to come over. And do you see State's Exhibit 100? And the State's Exhibit 90 is going to be the tire that you and your fellow officers recovered at the Jared Bridegan homicide scene.
Correct.
Which you saw right next to State's Exhibit 100.
Yes, sir.
So obviously, State's Exhibit 100 did not have a rim inside of it.
It did not.
So even though the two tires look the same, did you endeavor to find out whether or not these two tires actually had any similarities to each other?
You got to love Google. Yes, I actually got onto Google and started looking at the DOT numbers that are on the tire. And according to Google, and ultimately later through Bridgestone itself, they matched, or they appeared to match at least the same date and manufacturer plan.
Okay, and I have a couple more pictures I guess I'm supposed to show. State's Exhibit 98 and State's Exhibit 99, those are going to be the other pictures you took of that tire?
Yes, sir.
And I guess that's the back of your truck?
It is, and this is actually at the police department, so, but yes.
So let's look at the information from Michelin. This is going to be pursuant to State's Exhibit 175 and the certified business record. You see that on your screen, Detective?
I do.
For the record, I know the jury can read it on their own, but if you could just read that into the record for record purposes.
This is addressed to Mr. Currier, who was a detective with us at the time. It says a complete DOT number of the sidewall of the tire provides certain information, manufacturing plant, and optional code numbers for size and dimensional code for the sculpture and for the week and the year the tire was manufactured. You have requested information associated with the 265/60R18 BF Goodrich Advantage TA tire.
Just go a little bit slower for the court reporter, if you could. Thank you.
Bearing the following DOT number, AP80-2T114718. That DOT number conveys the following information. AP, plant code indicating that the tire was manufactured in Michelin, North America's Ador, Oklahoma plant. 80 is the optional code for size. 2T11's dimensional code for the sculpture, and 4718, the tire was manufactured on the 47th week of 2018. The same DOT number is assigned to all 265/60R18 BF Goodrich Advantage TA tires made at the Adamore, Oklahoma plant the 47th week, 2018.
So the information provided in States 175 is the information contained on both States Exhibit 90 and States Exhibit 100, the two different tires that were recovered in this case.
It was.
Did you also conduct investigation with regard to Henry Tennant in this case?
I did.
Were you able to determine through your investigation that Henry Tenen or his father had a registration to a blue Ford Lariat F-150 later model?
I did.
Ms. Stifler, do we have that? If we could find that one, please. Did you, as a detective, endeavor to try to find that Ford F-150?
Myself and several other people did, yes, sir.
Is part of what you did actually getting in a helicopter and flying over property associated with Mr. Tenen to see if you could find the truck there?
Well, it was associated with interview with Mr. Biggerstaff, and ultimately it was believed through a conversation that vehicle, the Ford F-150, may be somewhere up on that hunting club.
And you were unsuccessful in finding that vehicle, thank you.
We were.
So we'll show you it's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 177. Is this that state of Georgia motor vehicle registration to Henry Tenen's father?
It appears so, yes.
Let me. Ah, there. It was just so small. And do we see that on the registration, the Henry Clement Tenen?
Yes, sir.
Did you also find evidence that Henry Tenen had that car serviced at a tire store back in 2022?
Yes, sir. There was a discount tire off 103rd Street in Jacksonville.
And I'm showing what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 174. Is this that discount tire receipt that indicates that 2 tires were purchased, but only 1 tire was disposed of?
Yes, sir.
And in States 174, we see the name Henry Tenen with the address of 5239 Potomac Avenue.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
With the 2000 Ford F-150 information lariat.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 2 tires, but only 1 disposed of. That correct?
Yes, sir.
May I have a moment here?
Yes.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Right, thank you. Cross-examination? Mr.
Yes, Your
Hill?
Honor. Grab all those. Exhibit.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you as well.
I want to walk through a couple points. 12:36 on the 17th, 12:36 a.m. on February 17, 2022.
Okay.
I believe that's when you left the Jacksonville Beach Police Department to drive over to the Gardner-Fernandez residence.
Let me just refer to my offense incident report, please. You're correct with the time. Yes, sir.
That's about 3/10 of a mile from the police station. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 3/10, 2/10, something like that.
And I believe to Mr. Mizrahi's question, you said you got there at 12:39.
I believe I misspoke, but what's in my report here, it says 12:36. We met, I'm sorry, at 12:36 we drove there, so we would have been there very shortly thereafter.
And you saw Shanna Gardner
Yes, sir.
and Mario Fernandez.
We did.
Okay. You didn't call before you went over there, correct?
We did not.
Just showed up, knocked on the door, and they answered.
Yes, sir.
Invited you into the house.
Absolutely.
Totally cooperative with you at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've been a law enforcement officer for, now you said 19 years, or was it 19 years at the time in 2022?
I've been in law enforcement now 22 years.
Long time.
Yes, sir.
Part of your job is making observations.
Yes, sir.
This is at the time, probably the biggest case to have occurred in Jacksonville Beach in quite a long time.
Yes, sir.
All hands on deck, I believe, is what your response was to Mr. Mizrahi.
Yes, sir.
Your office had already had an opportunity to speak to Ms. Bridegan earlier that evening, correct?
Yes, sir. I wasn't part of that, but yes, sir.
Okay. But Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez's name had already been brought up to your understanding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you get to their residence, you're going in to make this notification, or Detective Lamont is, but you're there as, what'd you call it, 3-5?
It's just, yeah, we're there to assist one another. So we're going to a residence. We don't know anything about it, but we always go in pairs of two.
Mario Fernandez and Shanna Gardner had already been mentioned by Ms. Bridegan. You guys have arrived at the residence, and you're making observations while you're there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No observations that Mr. Fernandez seems nervous?
No, sir.
He's sweating profusely?
No, sir.
He's being evasive?
No, sir.
And this is, what, maybe 4.5 hours after the homicide, correct?
Yes, sir.
If you would have made any of those observations, they would have been in that report that you were just referencing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And certainly if they're not there, you didn't make any of those observations.
I made those observations. I didn't note that in my report, but there was nothing that stood out as being.
Didn't see him fumbling with a cell phone or anything during the 30, 45 minutes you were there?
No, sir.
Okay. Certainly if you saw something like that, where he seemed like he was messing with his cell phone, panicking, anything like that, you would have noted that.
Perhaps.
Mr. Mizrahi took you to July 18th, where ultimately you went over to Potomac for the second time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach the tires?
Yes.
I'm going to try to wheel these things over here for you. This was the tire you found at the residence?
Yes, sir.
Does this tire fit a Toyota Tundra?
I don't know, sir.
But it certainly matched a Ford F-150, did it not?
It will ultimately match the vehicle or the tire that was found at the scene.
Sure. This tire?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This was the one that was left in the middle of the roadway, ultimately where Mr. Bridegan was murdered.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand this was DNA tested, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that they found Mr. Tennant's DNA on that tire.
I understand that.
Okay. This tire you found at Potomac on the 18th when you went, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kind of by a stroke of luck, right? I
Absolutely.
believe that was Ms. Stifler's statement in her opening. It was just luck.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you were there, you said you saw Mr. Ordway, who was the current tenant, and you also saw Henry Tennant, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You did not see Mario Fernandez, did you?
I did not.
He didn't show up at all while you were there.
No, sir.
Okay. And you came to learn that Henry Tennant actually used to live at Potomac, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you found a tire owned by Mr. Tennant that fit the truck driven by Mr. Tennant, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you what the state just showed you, which is states 177. That's a registration, correct? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me where on there it says Mario Fernandez?
It does not.
Whose name is that truck registered to?
According to the registration, it's Henry Clement Tennant.
Do you see Henry Tennant in the courtroom?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm showing you now what is states 174. I believe this was the tire invoice you just testified to. Can you see that, sir?
Yes, sir. I was just making sure that was the same one.
Yes, sir. And I see a name up in the top left-hand corner. What name is that?
Henry Tennant,
And what address is that to?
5239 Potomac Avenue.
Okay, and that's where you understood that Mr. Tennant resided at some point?
At some point, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And that's also where you located that tire?
It is.
Okay, and again, do you see Mario Fernandez's name anywhere on this document?
No, sir, I do not.
Safe to say that you confirmed that Henry Tennant owns the truck, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Henry Tennant bought the tires, correct?
I don't know that.
It's his name on the invoice, was it not?
It is, but I don't know who actually paid for it, but that's who's on the invoice.
You've had experience for what? You said 23 years in law enforcement?
22, sir.
How long have you been driving a car?
A few years.
And you bought tires, I'm assuming, over those years?
I have.
Okay. Do they normally put other people's names on tires when you go and purchase them?
No, but the reason I say that is because the manager that I spoke with wasn't entirely sure it was Henry Tennant either, so I can't say for certain, but his name is at the top of that receipt.
He didn't say a little short Peruvian man came in and bought tires for somebody else's truck, did they?
No, sir, he did not.
And did I understand correctly, you took a helicopter ride looking for the truck?
We did.
Is that the first time you took a helicopter ride looking for a vehicle?
Actually, it was the second time. It was kind of cool.
I imagine it would be. And ultimately, that truck was found, correct?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. Was it found at a property owned by by Mario Fernandez?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think he owns it.
So you would agree all the evidence and testimony that you just reviewed with Mr. Mizrahi is related to Henry Tennant, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. None of your testimony actually had anything to do with Mario Fernandez, did it?
Well, other than that, it was the property that Mr. Fernandez owned. No.
He rented, correct?
Mr. Tennant rented. Yes, sir.
You also mentioned that you were on the street crime unit at the time that you were called into this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you dealt with gangs and drugs and stuff out in the Jacksonville Beach area?
We did.
Okay. There's some public housing over there. They call it the Hill over there in Jacksonville Beach.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's other rental properties throughout Jacksonville Beach, right?
It's a coastal community. There's drugs all throughout it.
No, not drugs, but I mean rental properties. There's rental properties everywhere.
Absolutely.
And certainly in your experience, you have gone and investigated crimes occurring at rental properties that had nothing to do with the landlords.
Correct.
May I have a second, Your Honor?
Sure.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused.
Excused, but subject to recall.
All right, detective, you understand what that means?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Stay in contact with the attorneys, all right? The state will call its next witness, please. Ms. Stifler.
The state calls Detective Chris Johns.
Detective Chris Johns. Good afternoon, Detective. Please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Detective, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, this way. Detective, watch your step, okay? Make sure that you get a little bit closer to the microphone. You may proceed.
It looks like we're having some technical difficulties with the evidence cart. I'll get started.
Do you need a moment?
No, ma'am, I'm not doing anything to it. It keeps Flashing in and out, on and off. It's that one. It's that one. Yeah, there we go. All right. Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
Could you introduce yourself to our jurors, please?
My name is Detective Chris Johns. I work for the Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
Detective Johns, I want to go through a little bit of your educational background and job history.
Okay.
Let's start with your educational background. Can you describe it for the jury, please?
I have some college. I did not finish college. I then went to the police academy. Most of my education has been through career education or on-the-job training.
And you're going to testify twice before this jury. One time in regards to some financial records, so I'll save some of that for then, but can you very briefly give the jury your background in finance?
When I turned 18, I got a job at Citibank working in customer service. I became interested in the financial industry in general. So I moved on, became a mortgage banker, and I spent several years working in retail banking, usually in a branch setting. I eventually decided I wanted to continue on that, and I became a sales assistant for an investment advisor. Eventually went on to become a financial advisor and get my broker's license and become a firm principal. And then prior to that, I became a compliance analyst for an investment firm.
And this was a career you had prior to being a police officer?
Yes, correct.
Okay. What made you change careers from financial advising to a Jacksonville Beach police officer?
I actually had a client who was a police officer as a financial advisor, and I used to go on ride-alongs with him, and I loved it and kind of fell in love, and I said, I think I want to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about your experience at Jacks Beach Police Department. How long did you work at Jacks Beach?
I worked there for 10 months in 2010, and then I ended up having to leave due to my spouse's job. And then I was gone for a little while, and I came back in 2019.
And when you said you had to leave for your spouse's job, that was a move from the Jacksonville area?
Correct. We had to move to South Florida, so I had to relocate.
When you came back to Jacksonville, you resumed your employment with Jacks Beach Police?
That's correct.
What's your current employment status at Jacks Beach?
I work part-time still in our general investigation unit, and then I also have another business where we do financial planning and tax planning.
And are you transitioning back into the financial planning world?
I am committed to them to see the few cases that I have left, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that.
You and your spouse own your own financial planning company?
That's correct.
Okay. At the Jacksonville Beach Police Department, can you describe for the jurors what training you had to go through in order to become a police officer?
So just in general, to become a police officer, you're going to go through the police academy, which is about 770 hours, or was back then. Afterwards, you go through a 16-week FTO process or field training process where you're riding with a senior officer and they're grading you on how you do and showing you the ropes, if you will. On top of that, I've probably done about 1,000 hours of training post-academy. 300 of that has been in either crime scene investigation or criminal investigation, and then about 120 of that specifically in death investigation, suicide, or homicide. Admittedly, most of that happened after this case started.
But prior to your involvement in this case in February of 2022, had you been a police officer on your own for quite some time?
Yes.
What year did you graduate academy?
In 2014.
And you actually had the highest GPA in your graduating class, is that right?
I did, yes.
Okay. Tell me about some of the positions you held with Jacksonville Beach Police prior to joining the General Investigations Unit, which you were a member of back in 2022.
So in order to apply for the General Investigations Unit, you have to have 2 years in patrol, or at least you did during that time period. And part of that, so I had at least 2 years, and then I also served as a crime scene investigator, or evidence technician as they were called back then, before joining GIU. Part of the process when you're wanting to move into general investigations is they want to see what type of initiative you've taken on yourself to develop skills as an investigator. How many independent investigations have you taken on versus just passing off to the unit?
I'm going to stop you right there just so I make sure that I don't know if I've said this or someone else has. What does GIU stand for?
So the General Investigations Unit,
Okay.
which in Jacksonville Beach, we're a smaller agency than, the sheriff's office. We basically have two units. There's the Special Investigations Unit, which handles vice or drug-related crimes, and then General Investigations Unit, which is going to handle any serious or major crime that doesn't involve drugs or a vice thing.
Will that include things like robberies, burglaries, and homicides?
That's correct.
To become a first of all, how long have you been a member of the GIU?
I was actually very new to the unit. I think I joined in December of 2021.
In order to join the General Investigations Unit with the Jacksonville Beach Police, do you just get to ask to go and sign up?
No, they'll put out a memo saying that there's an open position available. Then a bunch of people will apply, and there will be an interview process, and then they'll make a selection.
Is it competitive?
It is competitive, yes.
And you mentioned that you were fairly new to the GI unit prior to the homicide of Jared Bridegan in February 2022.
Correct.
Prior to being assigned as the lead detective on the homicide of Jared Bridegan in February 2022, had you ever worked as a lead detective on a homicide?
No.
Did you have some homicide experience through your time as a crime scene investigator?
I had worked one other homicide, shadowing actually as a crime scene investigator, and then I had probably worked 15 or 20 other death or suicide investigations prior to that.
At the time of Jared's death back in February of 2022, how did assignments come out on homicides? For example, how did you come to be the lead detective on this particular homicide?
If you are the on-call detective when a case happens, while you might be supported by other members of the team, ultimately that case lands in your lap and you're the lead on it.
At Jacksonville Beach Police, as a GIU detective on a homicide, do you work independently and solo on cases?
No, any type of major investigation, it's really a team effort, and sometimes depending upon the size of the investigation, it could even be a team effort between the larger detective unit, and we might also bring in, as we did in this case, bring in outside agencies to assist as well.
So in this particular case, who were members of the team that you worked with, or how many?
There were 5 people in the General Investigations Unit, another 5 or so in the Special Investigations Unit. We also worked very closely with the ATF and at times also with the FBI.
And in this particular case, did you have help or assistance and team members working closely with you from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or as we're calling it now, ATF?
Yeah, no case in this magnitude is worked in a silo. Everyone kind of works together. It's very much a team approach. There's no way that 1 or even 2 detectives, I don't care how seasoned you were, could have worked a case of this magnitude. It was certainly a team effort.
So let's go to February 16th, 2022. You were the on-call GIU detective that date.
Yes.
And what is the difference between a detective and a first responder when it comes to how you approach responding to a homicide scene?
So when a call comes out, especially a call that has some, violent nexus to it, like a gunshot, stabbing, anything like that, the first job of the first responder is to stop the killing, protect any lives that are there, make sure that the scene is safe for fire rescue personnel, and then if possible, to help provide life-saving measures.
And how is that different from your role as a detective when you respond to a scene?
Once the detectives get there, the scene is already secured. There's going to be crime scene tape already up. We're looking at it from a completely different standpoint, a much more methodical approach, an investigative approach.
I'm going to go through a PowerPoint while we're speaking. So I'm showing you, it's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 198. This is a map with a red outline. And can you tell the jury what this map depicts?
The outline here is basically the city of Jacksonville Beach.
And you're drawing on it with a map for the record. Is that your jurisdiction as a Jacksonville Beach police officer.
Yes.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 209. This is a Google map of the same area that was a smaller area. And this particular homicide, we've had several detectives testify, occurred in the most kind of southern border of that jurisdiction.
Yes.
Are you familiar with this area here, the Sanctuary neighborhood, Sanctuary Boulevard?
Yes, I am.
And can you describe for the jury the demographic makeup of that neighborhood? And by demographics, I mean, is it residential or is it businesses?
It's an exclusively residential area. There are no businesses anywhere there. It really offers, it's really a feeder street into the Sanctuary neighborhood, and there's actually a gated neighborhood back there called the Sanctuary. So, and they really, it is used as a cut through by some residents who live near there, but mostly it is just a way in and out of the Sanctuary.
So when you responded on February 16th of 2022, the scene was already secured. Did you conduct a walkthrough of the scene?
Yes, I did.
And this is State's Exhibit 3. This is a video that the evidence technicians took of the scene. And we can see here it's very dark on this street. Can you describe the conditions and lighting that night?
This area is well known to be by officers that it's extremely dark. I mean, almost to the point where you can't see your hand in front of your face. As you can see in the video, that they're using flashlights, and you can still almost barely see the car if it didn't have its lights on. It's a very dark and not extremely well traveled.
When you arrived, was the victim still on scene?
Yes, he was.
And were there civilians on standby of people that had arrived on the scene for you to speak with?
I don't recall if they had been sent to the police station at that point or if they were still there.
While on scene, did you identify the victim as someone by the name of Jared Bridegan?
Yes.
How did you identify who he was?
They ran the plate on the vehicle and then pulled up his driver's license photo, and you could tell by seeing the victim on the ground and his photo that it matched.
And were you aware when you arrived or were advised at some point that there was a child with
Yes.
Mr. Bridegan when he died? So explain to the jury what your first steps are in this investigation.
When you get a case like this, the first thing is okay, what can you derive from the scene itself? This is not a well-traveled area. There's a tire laying in the middle of the road. So it seemed like it was placed there to get this vehicle to stop. So then the question is this a carjacking? Is this a robbery? And really that night we weren't really sure. There were no signs of robbery. He still had his jewelry, his AirPods, his wallet. So we were thinking that was probably not the case.
And in terms of it being a carjacking, would the presence of the tire lead you to believe it was not a carjacking? Because it's hard to drive away in someone's car if it's blocked by a tire.
Correct. It would be difficult to, I mean, not impossible, but it would be fairly difficult, and it certainly doesn't seem like something that you would do if you were planning on driving the car away.
Did you consider the possibility that there had been some kind of dispute, either a road rage, something along those lines?
At that time, no, not really, but later in the investigation, absolutely.
So did you begin canvassing or sending officers to canvass to see if there had been any eyewitnesses to the killing?
Patrol officers, and then we called in the SIU units to go and do an initial canvass that evening just to see if there were any suspicious people around, if they noticed anyone. Some people said that they heard anything, but we couldn't find anyone who said that they actually saw anything.
So that night, one of your priorities would have been getting a description if there was a potential suspect or suspects or vehicle description?
Correct.
From the canvassing that night by the patrol officers and your fellow detectives, was anyone able to come up with a suspect or vehicle description that night?
No.
Meaning nobody saw what happened?
Correct.
Did you speak to some people that had come across the scene after Jared had been shot?
Yes, there was two older ladies who just happened to be leaving a birthday. They were there, and then we also spoke to a couple people that I think you might have already met earlier who took Bexley out of the car and were on scene pretty quickly after this happened.
So when you arrived, there were individuals, you said some older ladies that were at a birthday,
Yes,
and they had been in a vehicle at the scene,
correct,
and then the vehicle behind them contained some individuals who had taken the child out of the car.
correct.
And did yourself or detectives with your team speak to those individuals to see if they had any relevant information?
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Shane Borgia that evening. Other officers spoke with the ladies, and then they were actually contacted later to get more information from them.
And were they able to give you any suspect descriptions, vehicle descriptions, or any indication of how the homicide went down?
No,
When I say went down, I mean the manner in which it was committed.
no, everyone who arrived after it had already occurred.
What time did the first 911 call for the homicide come in? If you don't remember the exact time, you can give me an approximation.
I think it was 7:59. It was like maybe 6 or 8 minutes after the shooting, the last shot.
And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but how do you know what time this shooting actually occurred?
The shooting was actually captured on a nearby, or not really that nearby. There was a camera on a rooftop, and the gentleman just happened to be out working or loading stuff in his vehicle, and that caused his camera to capture the shooting.
Or the last shot?
Or the last shot, excuse me.
And the timestamp on that camera was 7:52 p.m.
Correct.
All right, so that night, besides Mr. Borgia, who else did you speak with?
I also spoke with Kirsten Bridegan
Where did you speak with Mrs. Bridegan?
at the police station.
And she arrived on her own?
She was with her mother.
Did you make the notification to her that her husband had been killed?
I can't remember if it was me or my sergeant that did it.
That evening, you spoke to her. Did you conduct a recorded interview, Mirandize her, interrogate her?
No, we did not.
Why not?
Generally, we do record everything that goes on in one of our rooms. It's the nature of why they exist. However, we made a decision that evening not to record a widow who had just found out that her husband had been killed.
You're making a notification to someone their husband had died. You're not interrogating a suspect at that point.
That's correct.
All right. Other than Mrs. Bridegan and Mr. Borgia, did you speak with anyone else that night who seemed to have any type of relevant information?
No.
And detectives and patrol officers were delegated to go canvass and try to see if there were any other witnesses.
That's correct.
I want to talk now about the days following the homicide and the development into your initial investigation.
Okay.
So having looked at the scene, seeing that it was not consistent with what you know to be consistent with a robbery or a carjacking, what did you investigate next?
The first thing we did was a geofence, basically, and we also did a tower dump. So basically what we're looking for in that instance is we get a search warrant to get data from Google or the cell phone providers to see if we can identify any devices that don't belong in the area. We know we're going to pick up some devices of people who we knew were already there or people who live near the scene, but we were looking for any outliers of that.
When you say a tower dump, you're referring to you can send a search warrant to a cell phone carrier and get a list of the phone numbers that utilized a tower in close proximity to a certain location like a homicide scene.
That's correct.
Does that depend on those devices being on and using cellular data?
Yes.
Geofence is similar, but it involves your usage of Google and Google devices.
Correct. It's anytime you have anytime you're using any type of Google product, they're most likely collecting data points about where you're located at.
And like a tower dump, does that rely on the device that's utilizing Google being powered on and using Google products?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive a return from that and follow up on those numbers for both the geofence and the tower dump?
The tower dump's a little bit more difficult because the geographic location is so small in Jacksonville Beach. There are only a couple of towers. There were nothing that popped out at us, but the geofence was something that we more focused on. But it also did not return anything that was a viable lead.
Did you look at chase down any leads, look at numbers, investigate the people that belong to those phone numbers or devices?
Every person that we identified was either someone who lived, we could verify that they lived within our geographic area, or someone that we already knew was there and they were not a suspect.
So you had numbers that you could not identify as residents, and then you eventually cross-referenced them with all the names that were brought up in this case that could potentially be involved.
That's correct.
And that did not lead to any investigative leads.
No, it did not.
After doing that, what else did you look into as a next step? You mentioned earlier that you did not consider the possibility of a dispute or road rage that night, but later on, tell the jury about that investigation.
We basically started doing what we call victimology, which is where we try to learn everything we can about a victim. Usually, not always, but usually when someone is murdered, there is a reason. It is due to a conflict that they have in their life. So we tried to learn everything we could about Jared Bridegan. Who was he as a person, an employee, where did he go? And we literally looked at everywhere that he frequented, the people that he hung out with, and we started basically just crossing things off the list.
Did you retrace his steps that evening?
Yes, we did.
And tell the jury about what you uncovered, where you went, what kind of evidence you collected.
We went back to, we found out that he was there for date night, and that was explained to us what date night was, where he would go and pick up his kids from his ex-wife's home. They would go out to eat, and then he would take them back home. We found out that they went to Bearded Pig, so we went to Bearded Pig. We interviewed the staff to determine if maybe he had gotten into some kind of dispute with someone at the restaurant. We received footage of their parking lot to see if maybe there was some type of incident in the parking lot. And then we kind of followed him around, and he went to Wendy's after that, and then kind of back to drop his kids off. Everywhere we looked, there was no there's nothing to suggest that he had been in some type of road rage event or had gotten into kind of confrontation with anyone that evening.
So you went to the restaurant he ate at, interviewed the staff, pulled surveillance. Did you pull surveillance at the Wendy's as well?
There was very limited surveillance there, but yes, we did.
And you saw no indication that you could see him having an altercation with someone or anyone following him or any kind of cars almost hitting each other, stealing a parking spot, something like that?
From what we could see, there was nothing like that.
So you said generally people are murdered for a reason. Did that mean that you had, at some point in the days following the homicide, eliminated this as a potential random act of violence?
The evidence just did not suggest that that's what this was.
And how so?
Going back and looking at Mr. Bridegan's life, he didn't seem to have, there was no gambling debts, there was no history of drug use. He didn't seem to have any conflict in his life, that would cause this. And then you go back to the scene and you factor in both what we learned about him as a person and then also the evidence at the scene, which is more and more leading us towards that this was an intentional act that had been committed.
And when you say intentional act, do you mean specific to Mr. Bridegan himself?
That's correct.
What about the evidence of the scene made you believe that this was intended specifically for him?
Well, you have a not a very well-traveled area, very dark at night. A rim is thrown out in the front of his vehicle or is placed there to get him to stop, and he is shot and killed.
You talked about something you called victimology. As part of that process, what do you do?
We will pull their phone records, find out who they associate with on a normal basis. We will pull their bank account records to see where they spend their money at, how they earn their money. Then we will start whittling down who are their known associates, who do they spend their time with. And then we'll start talking to those people and trying to find out what type of person we have.
Did you pull Jared Bridegan's financial records?
Yes.
Did you pull his wife, Kirsten Bridegan's financial records?
Yes.
Did you pull their phone records?
Yes.
Did you take Mr. Bridegan's phone and other electronic devices to be forensically examined?
Yes, we did.
And by that means you use in common language, the phrase dump his phones, dump his devices.
Yes,
And did you review that data?
we did.
Was there anything you found in his financials, phone records, or devices that gave you any leads to investigate as to potentially a suspect that had intentionally sought to kill him?
There was nothing to suggest in his phone records, his bank accounts, or any of his electronic devices that we feared that would cause him to be murdered.
Was there anyone that you were looking at in those early days as potentially of interest to you in this investigation in regards to a motive or reason to intentionally target Mr. Bridegan?
I think anytime you have a homicide investigation or really any major crime, it's kind of the old adage that everybody's a suspect until you're not, and that's how we kind of look at these things. And we started to kind of whittle away at the possible suspect list. One name that just kept coming up and up, and really kind of the only ongoing conflict we could find in his life, everyone kept kind of pointing us back to
Response.
Here I'm discussing the steps of his investigation and effect on listener.
I'll sustain it.
Let me think of a way to rephrase this. Without telling me what people told you, did you begin to narrow down your list of people of interest to any particular individuals?
Let me see you at sidebar. May proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The detective, after eliminating some of these possibilities, looking at surveillance, retracing the victim's steps, looking at his devices, pulling financial records, pulling phone records, conducting witness interviews, did you begin to perceive or investigate into the defendant, in this case, Mario Fernandez and Shanna Gardner, as persons of interest?
Yes, we did.
And Your Honor, I think that's a natural stopping point for the jurors to have a break as the court requested.
Okay. Members of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute break, refresh yourselves, okay, and come back. We'll be back at 2:30. 2:30. All right, everyone may be seated. So since Detective Johns is going to be a longer witness, what I'd ask is that the lawyers kind of be cognizant of the time and just ask for a break about every hour or so, so that, number one, the jurors can maintain attentiveness, and then also, like, we don't go too long with the witness as well. You can have a break, Detective Johns, for the 15 minutes. You cannot discuss your testimony with anyone, and that's including the lawyers. You're still considered to be on the stand, okay? Or with anybody, all right? So go ahead and we'll take the 15 minutes, okay?
Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Kind of a natural lull. All right. Okay. An hour right on the dot, but like.
I'm not great. If I do break.
You want me to interrupt you? You want me to interrupt? Okay. You'll get the hook.
I think I'll bounce back.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt you.
And I'll try not to. And maybe my team can throw peanuts at me.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I don't want to. Okay.